Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of Track from Scratch, and in the last episode, we made these two basses. I'm still currently working on this one. I kind of realized that I really didn't explain what I was doing. I was very in the zone, and I do that sometimes. I apologize. First of all, this needs to be a bit more. So I'll start by explaining this bass. So this bass is made in a synth called Serum, obviously, and it's used by resampling a square wave when you turn on a bunch of unison, and that causes a bunch of it creates like a giant wavetable, I guess. I'm not certain if I have that correct, but when you do like resampled oscillator A with all that unison on, it creates a very interesting wavetable, and when you keep resampling it with that same unison, eventually you can stop doing that whenever you like, and then you'll get a very nice harmonic content. And the reason why I'm doing this right here, this specific filter pattern is entirely what creates the growl, because without it, it's kind of there, but not really. This is really what sells it. The reason I added this was to add specific harmonics to where the growl was missing, because without it, it sounds like it's kind of missing something. So that adds a bit more character to it. I put a little bend minus to make it a bit more interesting, and equalizer just to clean things up, hyperdimension to add width, flanger, chorus to kind of fatten things up a bit, phaser, move things around, and then compressor to, just bring everything together, because without it, sound's not there. But with it, sound's there. And then distortion to distort things, obviously. And yeah. Now this bass is a bit more complex. Well, not really that much, but it's going to be. But I'm going to explain what I've done so far. So first we start off with this FM RM sort of deal. So we get this sort of triangle, almost saw wave sort of thing, and then we go to, and then this one I just drew a shape and then fiddled around with knobs until it sounded good. But I'm basically FMing this by this with this weird shape, and then I'm FMing this weird shape with this, which is a bit more balanced. And these are both, is it 2 octaves or 1 octave higher than, I believe it's 2, than this bass. I'm not quite certain how this works. I need to remind myself. And then this is ring modulation to create a bit more movement, because without it, it just creates, it's very subtle, but it creates a very small amount of movement. It's a very subtle thing, but it adds a decent amount to the sound. And then I'm putting that into a Fruity Delay 3. I have the time turned all the way down. I'm not quite certain what this process is called. I'd have to study it, but it created a pretty cool tone. It kind of comb filters it in a way. I believe that's what it's doing. I'm not certain. And then all of this is to create movement in the sound, because without it, it would sound pretty boring. Well, it's sort of interesting, but this adds a lot to the sound. I did 2 sort of band stops, or as they're called in the parametric EQ, to kind of just create holes in the sound so that when distortion comes in, it sort of fills them up. Then I created 2 peaks to kind of accentuate some harmonics. Just some basic EQ, kind of, I had to tame the low end a bit on this thing. And then I put it into a flanger, which kind of multiplies the sound on itself. I'm trying to be very basic here, because I'm taking the assumption that some people might not know what I'm doing, or just he's twisting knobs. What is he doing? So that's why I'm kind of being very general with things. So if you're the ultimate music production nerd and I say something wrong because I'm generalizing, I'm sorry. So this is Trash 2, a very awesome distortion, and it has a lot of stuff actually. It has a compressor, I'm using a convolver as well to kind of add a bit to the sound, because without it, it's just another very subtle detail, but it adds to the sound. And without the distortion, the sound's pretty much nothing. So might actually push that a little bit harder. And then more EQ. This isn't doing anything. Actually, might tame that a little bit. And then this flanger, which I need to work on because it's not quite there. It's kind of creating the sound. It's making the sound a little weird. In fact, let's hear it without this flanger. Honestly, I'm going to get rid of this second flanger. I don't like it. I'm going to tame this flanger in a bit. Yeah, I like that much better. I wonder what would happen if we put a vocoder on it. Or, I'm sorry, a vocodex. That might create some interesting... Oof. That's going to need some changing. So I'm not quite certain how to explain a vocodex. I haven't really thought much into it. In fact, it's still kind of a mystery to me. Ooh, that's going to be filthy. Turn all of these off. Actually, yeah, that's gonna be. Take that section in a little bit, but that's filthy. Suddenly, this belongs in the song now. I should have done this sooner. I like it with less bands. Bandwidth, and adjust that a little bit. That sounds pretty cool. And then the modulation pitch shift, which I think, like, depending on where you put these little nodes here, it kind of like shifts the pitch of the vocoding. So like up here, it's kind of pitched up a little bit. If you pitch it down, it's a bit more, well, it's pitched down. So I think that's a pretty interesting way to shape a sound. But I don't really mess with the vocodex that often because it's still like a bit of a mystery to me. I've had a hard time like understanding what this does, but I know that I'm forgetting what this is. I know this is the bandwidth. This kind of like determines what sounds like a male or female. Forgetting what these are. I know this is a sound goodizer, and this is the wet of the vocoder, I believe. I'm turning off draft and threaded. Actually, I might want. I think I still want draft on. So we gotta do one more EQ, and I think the sound will be there. Maybe fatten it up a little bit with some distortion afterwards. Just a small amount. That might even be too much. That's perfect. So now let's add an EQ, and we should be good with this sound. Honestly, I'm very happy with this. Yeah, that needs to come down. Yeah, let's low cut this. So the reason why I want to cut out my low end is eventually I'm going to add a sub bass to this, and this just takes away space for my sub bass. So I want to get rid of this. Also, it's most likely stereo, and stereo low end is a big no-no. Now you might be asking, why is stereo low end a big no-no? Because it's for electronic music, unless you're doing like an impact, you really don't want stereo low end, or at least a lot of it, because you know kicks can sometimes have like a very small amount of it. But I know some people, including myself, it like gives them vertigo or makes them dizzy. So it's just really not a good thing. Also causes your sub to be inconsistent, which is just no. Wow. I might actually need to compress this boy a little bit. This little boy. Here we go. Let's add Maximus. Yeah, sure. Let's do Maximus. Let's turn off that. And could maybe do with a little bit. Maybe come down a little bit. U for there we go. Oh, my screen froze. Great. 1 second. And we're back. Every once in a while, FL does that. It's a little weird, but it's not a huge deal. So we're taming that in a bit. That is so loud in comparison to this growl. We gotta tame this up a bit. Yeah, that could be a really cool sound. In fact, it's got a very nice underbite to it, which I really like. Let's put an OTT on this bad boy. Because who doesn't put OTT on everything? Am I right, ladies? And honestly, that specific section feels like it could do with some like side, like how much side's in there. So I'm gonna control that a little bit. In fact, I might bring it down a little bit more. There we go. And I want this to be both sections, not just the side. Oh man. Okay. Bring that up a little bit. That's obviously not going to be my bass pattern, but that was just to get a rhythm. That was just to get some sort of rhythm. I think I want to make like 2 to 3 more basses before we get on to more like until we get into arrangement, because we still got to deal with drums and all that jazz, but I think we need some more basses. So let's do bass 3. Bass 3. This one, do I want to do it with Patcher? No, not really. I'm going to do something in Harmor. I'm going to try and do something in Harmor that won't like kill it. Bass 3. Okay. So, because we're in E, I believe. Yeah. Just making sure everything's in E. Yeah, it is. So let's copy you. So what I really want to have here is like I want to utilize the phaser, but I'm not quite. I think I want to do like square wave type sound, maybe a little bit of prism. Other than that, I don't really have much of a plan. So. I want a little bit less unison pitch thickness. And then the harmonic unison pitch. I knew what this meant at some point, but I forgot. But it's pretty rad. So I want a custom phaser shape. I think this could be. Oh yeah, that's really cool. That creates an interesting shape for us. So if I recall correctly, the harmonic mute and pitch affects the phaser when it's on harmonic mode. In fact, I want to key track this, which I think is really cool. So let's create more interesting shapes. So I want to automate this, reset it, and I think that will give us some interesting movement. It's interesting. Not quite what I want. Nah. No, that's too weird. Let's mess with the prism a little bit. Ooh. That is like, looks like an eye. Huh. Ooh. I really like the way that sounds. No, I like this. Yeah, this turned out to be a really cool sound. Now let's distort it. Look at the shape on this thing. It's really cool. Let's compress it a little bit. There we go. That turned out to be a really cool sound. And the way we can mess with the phaser offset will be really cool. So far, really the only main bass option I have is this. That's very fill bass, same for this. In fact, I kind of want to like in flangers. I think that could be cool. I was right. That flanger was cool. Once again, we're cutting out this low end because this is a very inconsistent sub. It's not good to have as your sub bass, so we're gonna cut that out. And yeah. So that was a really cool and easy bass to make. Oh man. I think just one more bass. Let's try and get something a bit more grounded because we have this weirdness, which I think I'm still gonna have to adjust. That needs some work. Actually, let's work on this a little bit before wrong bass. Before we work on, I want to get like bass sound down. Hmm. Wait. Ah, there's our problem. We didn't do this. Yeah, this is an important step. Again, don't know what the band distribution does. I mean, I'm assuming it distributes bands, the bands like in the Vocodex, but I really need to learn this plugin because it's one of those plugins that is just a myth to me. It's like Dex. It's a lot to learn, but once you learn it, it's pretty cool. I haven't even learned Dex yet. Okay, I want to lower the mix on this a little bit. Okay, it's getting clear to me that we're going to need to do this. And that we're going to need to smart disable. I don't know about this sound. It's interesting. This one's cool. In fact, I might want to distort that one a little bit more. Okay. Let's create a couple more sounds like this one. Just so we have a bit more consistency in this track, because right now, if we just keep doing like crazy sound designy basses, we're not going to have consistency. So we need to like glue this together somehow. That's a very important thing in music, is like consistency, which is when I first started, I sucked at that with things like dubstep, because I just created basses that had nothing to do with basses that had like nothing to do with each other in dubstep, and it was bad. Okay, like I wonder why that copy pasted like 4 bars. It's interesting. Let's do this. I think 2 more basses and we should be good. So I'm just gonna pick some from wavetables that I have. Oh, yeah. So this wavetable is from PewDiePie saying, "I got the shakes." A friend of mine sent me an audio clip, and I'm just like, I gotta turn this into a wavetable. So I should squarify this because, ugh. So yeah, let's create a growl out of this. I think that could be interesting. So what I'm doing here is I'm modulating the wavetable position with this macro, and I'm also modulating the level to keep things clean. The wavetable position is like, so each of these wavetables has like a specific like wave cycle, I believe it's called. and you can modulate through them. It just so happens that when you create like a wavetable, it all is supposedly, if you do it right, will flow together smoothly. And then I want Bend Plus in there. So Bend Plus, I believe Bend Plus is the one that squishes it. Yeah, Bend Plus kind of like squishes the frequency together. But I'm going to change the bend on this, which I believe I did for the other bass as well. That just makes it so that way I'm trying to think how to put this into words. So if I'm not on here as long, it basically won't be enabled as long. I cannot English. Hang on, let me just get this modulating real quick. I think I need that to like get me explaining stuff. Okay, so with the Bend Plus, like let's say I had this normal. If you notice, it's kind of just like an even ramp when it comes to the Bend Plus. But if I kind of curve it a little bit, it kind of pulls up a little bit. I think I needed that visual representation. Wow. This is a very low waveform. But I think we can make something out of this. It'll be more like saw-ish growl, even though I squarified it. In fact, that has a really nice growl tone to it. And wow, this bass is really quiet right now, but it won't be quiet for soon. Then let's give it stereo or dimension without any size, because with size, that's just no. I don't really know why you would want that for a bass, unless you're doing like audio destruction, which can be fun. I've done audio destruction before. It's pretty cool. So I did this with my last bass as well, and I kind of explained it, but I didn't really go in depth. So I'm attaching this note value, and with flangers you want them to be in tune, because otherwise it's not pretty. So I'm turning up the resonance to bring all the like harmonics that the flanger's messing with up, and that. So now my flanger's in tune because it's attached to this note value on this grid right here, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm also going to modulate this like I did last time. Next up, not a flanger, because we already have one, a static chorus. So, fun fact, I didn't explain what a static chorus was when I just name dropped it. A static chorus, when you like put everything to 0, except for like the filter and mix, obviously. When you put like everything to 0, like the depth and the feed, and you modulate the 2 delays, it comb filters. You hear that? You can see it right here. Turn it up a little bit. See? You can see it right there. And now, and then phaser. A phaser just like cuts holes in your frequency spectrum, which, as you can kind of hear it doing it. Then we need to push these back a little bit. Finally, to get this sound up to code. There we go. Like, listen, before, after. That's the magic of compression. And then let's distort this bad boy. I'm kind of feeling like hard clipping for this sound. Yeah. I need to adjust that one. This one has so much girth to it. Let's add our harmonics. A little bit of bend minus. And there we go. That's a really nice growl. I want to figure out what happened with this one. It's really noisy. That's a little bit better. I don't like how much comb. Too much comb filter. That's a little bit better. Wow. This is probably one of the... I'm going to save this one because this is a really nice growl. Hyper growl. That's going to be a nice growl to mess with. Let's put an OTT on it. Actually, not. I might have too much OTT on the last bass. That's probably what it is. That's what it sounds like. No, it's... Let me lower the depth a little bit. I do know that I'm going to have to bring in the stereo field a little bit, because yeah, look at how wide that is. That's from the dimension expander. There we go. Now this is a tight bass. Okay, we made some pretty good progress today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.